You're listening to the podcast, Clean Comedy Chats with your host, Drew Davis. It's gonna be awesome and will change your life forever. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello and welcome back to the Clean Comedy Chats. I'm your host, Drew Davis, and this is the podcast where we interview each week a different stand-up comedian who's part of the Clean Comedy Collective, which is a nationwide network of comedians. We started here in Nashville with just a few people in Middle Tennessee producing shows, and then about a year ago, we went viral, we went national, and now we have about 240 comedians from about 39 different states. So each week we meet a different one, and we talk to them, get to know them, get to talk comedy. Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already knew that. But if this is your first time, because maybe you saw who our guest is and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to get in on this podcast, just thought I'd let you know. So if you have any Clean Comedy Collective related questions, we have a website, www.cleancomedycollective.com, and that's where you can check out who is in our collective. You can check out what shows we have going on. You can donate and just give us all your money. You can check out previous podcast episodes, and I don't know, you can just go there and all your dreams will come true. So that's my friendly Clean Comedy Collective plug. Now let's get into the interview. Let's get into the conversation. Let's get into getting to know one of my new friends. Our guest today is Daniel Qunitero from I almost said San Diego, Daniel. I don't know, from San Antonio, Texas. And you might know him as Daniel or Qunitero, but you definitely, if you've seen him, you know his stage name, Arriba Dude. So Daniel, how's it going? How are you, sir?
Hey, Drew. Yes, really good. I'm so excited to be here. This is fun. Yeah, I'm doing well. Arriba.
Arriba, yeah. So
Already
what?
started.
Let's get rolling into this. Arriba, dude. What? How? I mean, there's the ethical reasons why, not ethical, ethnical
Yeah, morally
reasons of
good.
why the moral reasons why we call you. But like, do you gotta? Is there any origin story behind your name, Arriba, dude? And my
Yeah.
R's are never gonna roll. By the way, I don't think. I
Oh,
think this is
I
too
used to
white to
not be able
roll
to roll
those
my
R's.
R's. Yeah, actually, it's been my nickname since middle school, really, that I created for myself.
Mm.
And it was because I wanted to practice rolling my R's. I really couldn't growing up. And I was like, arriba, I love that word. And I just added the dude, and I would just have it and just say it, but I didn't have any comedy to back it up. I even bought the domain like 10 years ago without knowing what to do with it.
That's hysterical. That's so cool. I love that that's your middle school name, and now that's part of your comedic identity. That's cool. So,
Yeah.
and speaking of comedic identity, tell us a little bit about. I always like to ask people, the when did you get into comedy, and the why did you get into comedy? Because I feel like we all have different answers to that.
For sure. I started in February 2023. Yes, so 3 years and a few months. And I started because I wanted to challenge myself. I did public speaking in high school and college and in the workforce, but I was like, I love speaking, but I want to do something that's scary on stage. And comedy, of course, was like, wow, you got to make strangers laugh by your words. That's wild. So I was like, let me do that as a dare. So I wrote for like 6 months to create jokes. And then I went to my first
I like how
open
you
mic.
put quotes in them.
Yeah. I remember my first joke. It was about the purge, which was already like 5 years old. And my first line was, congrats everybody on surviving the purge. And I thought that would hit silence. But that's how it was. I wrote all these jokes. I was like, here's a challenge to myself. I went, I did it. No one laughed, but I loved it. So there it is.
Okay. So that's the crazy part of us comedians is a lot of times you go there and your first show or your first couple shows, you do not get a lot of laughs. But then you're like, this was great. I can't wait to do this again. Why are we like that, Daniel? Why are comedians like that?
I don't know, just a special us. Wow, let me speak right. A special breed.
We are. So do you remember do you remember your first booked show? Like the first time someone asked you to go be funny on purpose?
Yeah, I love that. That was actually a year after, February 2024. And it's just, you never forget that. It's at a bar restaurant that's actually going to be closing this summer. So I always have
Oh.
that memory. I know. But that first $20 bill that you get for writing jokes and performing them,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Did
it.
you keep it and like spend it, or did you do what like a lot of comedians do, which is like frame it and put it up somewhere? Like this is the first time I was paid.
Oh no, I spent it probably that
Oh
night.
yeah.
So
Me too. I hear about that now. A lot of comedians do that, and I think like that would have been cool, but it didn't even cross my mind when I got paid the first time to like, oh, I should hold on to this as a that's cool. So
yeah, I'll just grab a random 20 and frame it. No one will know.
that's right. Say this was the first 20 I ever made, and people were like, its date is and like, don't look. I love that. So now you produce one of the shows for the Clean Comedy Collective. You have your show. I think it's a monthly show at Refuge Coffee. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, Refuge itself, the owners, Nick and C, they've been really great. It's on the northwest side of San Antonio, and that area has grown fast in the last 15 years. A lot of farmland to apartments and chain restaurants. But the owners, they bought that house. It used to be a yoga studio, and they bought it, converted it into a coffee beer hall. And it's like the only real community place on this side of town.
Really?
Yeah, they still have a farmland. They have goats, chickens, fresh egg market, and they do a lot of community events. So it was just perfect for me to go there and say, "Hey, would you like to do a clean comedy show?" And they love clean comedy, so they're like, "Of course." And we worked together. It was a great match, and yeah, I've been doing it. This will be in July. Will be our 1 year anniversary of that
Oh,
show.
that's exciting. That's coming up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything special for the 1 year anniversary or?
Yeah, I'm going to do a longer set, so that's fun because I started the very first show I did a longer headlining set, so I'm like I guess I'll do it again a year later and not host.
Yeah, maybe you have a couple new jokes. Maybe you have different people that come to it. That's so cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, well, we had a few. I mean, as you, for the people listening, it would have been a few episodes ago. I don't remember how long. It feels like it was like 6 years ago, but
Yeah.
a while back, we had Danny Tran come
Yeah.
here and he and talk, and he spoke so highly of your show and how you hosted it, and just the real positive energy that you bring to it that made the show super special.
Oh,
Um, so
thanks,
that's
Danny.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, we'll let him know. Thanks, Danny. Well,
Yeah,
shout out
he's
to
great.
him. And if you listeners, if you're like, what's he like? Well, we have an episode of him a few episodes ago, so check it out.
Super funny guy.
Um, yeah. So now, do you have like what kind of goals do you have yourself for comedy? Why, like, what's the? Do you have a hope or like what this kind of will lead to, or why you're doing what you're doing, or is it ever going to be enough? Do you have like a end game goal, or like yeah, what's going on with comedy? What's the deal with your stand up
I
comedy?
know. Yeah. My ultimate goal would be to headline afternoon shows across Texas. That'd be so
Afternoon
nice.
shows across
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, just 50 to 60 people at a 2 p.m. show at a coffee shop. I would love that idea.
That's it. Yeah, that's the goal. I don't think you have a lot of competition there. I think you could make that happen. You
I
could just
know.
book those shows and be like, I am the best afternoon headliner
There we
through
go.
all of Texas. You might even be like through all of the world. But I don't because I don't know. Like I don't no one's ever told me that. So that's cool.
It's just a fun time. It's early. You'll be done. Get to celebrate. Yeah, I would like more afternoon shows and make that a thing.
Yeah. Is that because you just don't like staying out late at night? Like, is this your way of getting done and home early before it gets dark?
I guess so. Yeah, that makes sense. Try to live longer, avoid the night night driving.
Okay,
Um,
that's cool. I had not thought about that. Though, it's funny though, because a lot of people, so especially doing, so I've run a comedy show at a coffee shop for like
yeah.
several years. And it's usually at 6 p.m. is when we do it. So like a lot of time, especially when we first started, people were like, "Oh, comedy show during the day, like that. Why do people even do that? It has to be nighttime for comedy." And since then, especially doing clean comedy shows, coffee shops lend themselves and like doing them earlier, kind of family
Mm,
friendly type, where people can go. Older people might like going, or
yeah.
and then they can drive, in the daytime, or sometimes people bring their families, so they're looking for something. So like doing like late night shows for clean comedy, sometimes it's almost easier to. And all that to say is this taboo of it has to be, dark and nighttime for comedy. I've learned is not true. Like you can
Yay.
run a freaking awesome show in the daytime and it's totally fine. So
Okay, great. All right, there's a path. 6 p.m. You're getting
yeah,
there, right? Getting there.
there we go. Yeah. So yeah, I have faith in you. I think you can do it. So what would you say if you were to give like a one piece of advice to new comedians, just all if they were to listen to you and actually heed your words, what would be a good advice for any new comedian out there?
Um, well, I think in the local scene that you can't have a grudge and you can't compare yourself to anyone else, especially in our scene, in any local comedy scene, because, none of us are special. None of us have like a big name. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, like you cannot go around being like, this person's getting booked and I'm not getting booked, or this producer's not booking me. You just gotta focus on what you can focus on, writing, doing open mics, but
Mhm.
making yourself known to the producers, and yeah, just seeing what happens. That's my
Yeah, I
advice.
really like that. I like the phrase "none of us are special." It's
Yeah.
it's so true. But us creatives or us people that the kind of people and we're like this. So I don't feel like I'm making fun of other people that aren't me. But the kind of people that like think to themselves, "I'm gonna get on. These strangers need to hear what I have to say. Let me get on stage." And
Yeah.
tell an entire I think they'll everyone here will think this way. The kind of people that do this kind of work, I feel like every now and again the reminder of none of us are special. I've often heard critiques for like newer comedians where people are like, you need to remember that nobody owes you anything.
Mm,
Like you do not. And I think that's a really big reminder. Like every opportunity we get is a privilege, and the further you get and the cooler things you get to do, like we should always be thankful for those. It's because yeah, we're all we're all just here. So
exactly. Like last month, I was not getting booked anywhere except one venue, and I started to become bitter and be like, why am I not getting booked more places? But then I was like, wait, that producer still booked me. I need to just focus my
yeah.
energy on doing a good show for that person and the audience.
Yeah. I feel like it's a good self-discipline to not get like bitter, to not get jealous, to not I think it's 100% easier set for us to say here on this podcast than the next time we scroll on social media and see who's working where.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any tips of how people can kind of be on that? Because I really do think it's a process of as you can train yourself to not get bitter, to not get jealous, to not kind of let that toxic stuff in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like there's enough spots for everybody, in terms of we all bring something different. And just, going back to whatever you can control is how
Mhm.
I try to live it.
Yeah, that's so true. There's so much in stand up that is out of our control, isn't there? There's like because at the end of the day, when you're sending avails out to the bookers or whatever, you send it in, and then it's totally up to them whether you get booked. It's
Yeah.
are you do they think you're funny? Humor is subjective. Do they like your look? Do they feel you'll fit the room that they have? It could be simply as simple as you just remind them of someone they don't like, and they're like, I don't want to book this person. Like,
Yep, it's the
so,
hair. I get
right,
it.
yeah. Well, and that would never. I mean, for those of you listening, you gotta check our YouTube video because as Daniel is looking spick and span. He's got the cool. He's got the hair. He's got the cool jacket. I just came in here like a slob with a t-shirt, and so that's good.
You don't need it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Um, so afternoon comedy shows. That's going to be your lane. I love that. So. Do you have what is the do you have like a favorite comedy moment or like favorite show that you've done and like some for some reason and the I so you said you started in 2023, so in the past 3 years is there like a show that just stands out to you as like a really cool comedy memory?
Yeah. I think those best moments are when you're reflecting back and you're like, wow, I get to do comedy. People know
Yeah.
of me, they want to hire me, or they, yeah, think of me to perform in front of people. And one of my most favorite moments was New Year's Eve, 2024. It was a show at a church New Year's Eve party. And they were so kind. so charitable. And it felt like an assembly line when I got there because as soon as I got there, they took a picture of us in front of the red carpet and the nice backdrop. And then they rushed me inside. They're like, "Are you hungry?" And then they had a little assembly line of food. Here, eat. And then 20 minutes later, like, "Okay, come on stage. It's 11 p.m. You have to finish in 20 minutes." So just rushing me on stage and then doing the comedy and then being like, I had to go to my sister's house, which was 40 minutes away from that venue, and be there before midnight so we can celebrate New Year's Day.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as I
That's
was
cool.
done off the stage, I drove, and it was just so cool to be like, I put comedy in my life, and it put me in this situation where I had to rush through, do a set, enjoy it, be back at my sister's house in time for midnight. It was wild. I loved it.
Did
I was
you
like,
did
I
you
did this.
make it? Did you
I
make
did,
it
yes.
before? Oh, look at you. Oh, that
11:58.
so close. Oh man, your sister would have disowned you if it was
Yeah.
your her first decision of 2025 would have been like no more brother. So
Yeah, I haven't
that's
really had to,
awesome though.
thankfully. Yeah, like I haven't had to like put comedy in front of like important days or birthdays. So I'm really trying to not do that. I know it might be harder if I get more popular, but that's always my focus, just to have a right balance.
Yeah. Well, and we always have to remember, not just in comedy, but in like life, like we pick our schedule. We
Yes.
accept, like, and so and comedy is one of those things. The more you do it, the more it'll ask of you, and sometimes you got to have those healthy boundaries. And sometimes
Yeah.
I'm actually we're starting July next week, and actually for July for me, I do not have any traveling gigs in July. It
Okay.
kind of happened accidentally, but then I was traveling a lot this month, and I was like
Sure.
maybe I'll just leave it like that. And so,
I love
and of course, nothing's ever set in stone. You can always take something if it comes, but I'm actually kind of excited about. I got a few shows that I'm producing next month, and I'm just recovering, rebuilding, getting more bookings, working on this podcast, working on other stuff, and taking it a little bit easy. But
it.
that's because I control my schedule. So yeah, you're wise to know that you have. So apart from comedy, what are some other priorities and important things in your life outside of comedy that you spend your time with?
Yeah, karaoke. I love that. So,
Really?
yes,
As
I
in, like
love.
you go and do it, or do you facilitate it, or
Oh
you?
no, I just go and do it.
That's cool. I actually am gonna have to start with my day job every month, kind of facilitating a monthly karaoke. So, do you have any? This is very random and not at all clean comedy chat related, but do you have any good tips for like what makes a good karaoke? Like what are things that I should try to make sure happens we're doing at our my day job, we're doing a sip and sing event for the members, and so I have to
Oh,
kind of run that. And I've done comedy for a while and done events, but I've never done karaoke. I've been to karaoke, but I've never done it really.
yeah. I mean, I mean, it's like open mics where you have to have a list and like make sure people don't bump other people.
Yeah.
I like when the karaoke DJ has like a little scroll of who's next and what place you
Mm.
are in the line. Um, but and then of course a good mic. So yeah, you're gonna do great.
Yeah, perfect. I can make a list and I have a good mic. So I feel like I'm already qualified to do it. That's cool though. So yeah.
And
So
some Weird
so do
Al
you have a
songs too. Yes.
oh I was about to ask, do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Ah, yes, white and nerdy.
I love that. And yeah, that's something we have in common is our love for Weird Al. Is he among one of your favorite artists, or do you just
Yeah, I think he inspired me to do comedy too. He's one of my idols in
really?
that sense. Yeah, I met him at his concerts maybe like 5 times already.
Oh wow! So does he recognize you when he see at this point when he sees you for which time, five or six? Does he know who you are?
He pretends he does, I think. So hopefully.
Well, we're gonna say he does. We're
Yeah.
because no one can prove otherwise. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
we wear the same suit sometimes, so it's kind of cool.
I love that. Yeah, because you do. I noticed. You have a very polka friendly presence when you're, and I noticed with a lot of the whenever I share your refuge coffee nights post, a lot of times it has a kind of a polka song in the background. So I like that. Weird Al was I think the first two CDs I ever got was I got I got them both like on the same Christmas when I was a kid, and it was Three Doors Down, A Better Life, but then it was also Weird Al's Eat It, and so I was introduced to him, and in maybe somewhere between sixth and eighth grade for a talent show. Me and my friends did the entire Albuquerque song in our
Oh,
for our talent show.
wow.
Yeah, we memorized all 12 minutes of it, and we went for it.
Is that still on video somewhere?
I do not think so. Think praise the Lord, it is not still there. So, but
Oh,
that would be a
goodness.
cool. Wouldn't it be cool? Like, yeah, and we're gonna go ahead and throw it on to. If you're on Patreon, you can watch the Weird Al video of
Yes.
Drew in a talent show. No, that would be great though. So, that's fun. So you produced. You've had your show for a year now. Basically, you've had your show. Do you have any other shows that you produce, or is it just that one?
Oh no, it's just that one. I like producing that show, but for me at least, it seems too stressful to worry about other shows because I really want to just focus on the writing and performing. And I know that's a balance that you have to take.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, I mean, the eh, producing shows is a way to kind of expand what you do, but it's not the only way. And it's definitely not for everyone. I have plenty of friends that, maybe tried to produce one show one time and are like, nope. Because it feels like it's a different muscle than like performing and especially writing. So are you more into the joke writing or the joke performing?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I think
Thank
writing,
you.
yes, amazing. I feel like I love performing to validate that the writing is working.
Oh, okay, good point. So,
Um,
and I love the performing because like all I care about to an extent is the validation. I don't, I like the experience of telling the jokes and interacting with the people and
yeah,
but the writing is important. So,
and
what's
I think
your
that's an issue.
okay,
Yeah,
go
like
ahead, go ahead.
oh, no worries. It's because in high school I studied debate. I was in debate team, so we wrote a lot of arguments, and then in college I studied philosophy. So I feel like my joke writing is very like a logical argument. You have like the premise, which is a setup, and then the conclusion, which is the punchline. And I always try to like write where it's like logical, removing as many words as I can to make it as strong. So that's why I see it like a very analytical view of joke writing.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's important. So is your style more like observation? Is it more like do you make fun of yourself? Do you what storytelling? What kind of comedian are you? If anyone's wanting to check you out after they listen to this episode.
Yeah, I started as a one-liner comedian,
Hmm.
one-liner open mic comedian. Yeah,
Yep.
still am. I just loved like the silly one-liners. But what I found out was I felt more confident on stage when I talked about myself.
Hmm.
And so through a lot of like trial and error and getting different feedback from other mentors, I learned that I wanted to do personal life storytelling in my set. But I had a lot of like silly jokes and one-liners sprinkled in. So my
Yeah.
whole set now is like a theme of like one theme, and then I explore that theme through different parts of my life. And that's been more fun for
Okay.
me.
That's fun. Yeah, I get that. I definitely one-liners are fun, but it's hard to build a longer than 5 to 10 minute set of just one-liner
Mhm.
jokes. And
Yeah.
I've noticed the real good real good one-liner comedians often learn the right time to kind of turn it off a bit and like go into like maybe a story or go into a random tangent or maybe go into crowd work and then go back to there because it's like I've booked comedians for 15 minutes or just one liners and it's like it gets old halfway into their set. So there's for one liners they have to kind of figure out a way to make it work and then stories I also gravitate to storytelling comedy. Oddly, a few years ago, it just kind of happened that way. I used to be kind of a set up and punch kind of person. That was the bulk of my jokes, and then at some point, I just became a little bit more long winded, I guess. But but I still feel like even if you're telling stories, you have to include those punchlines. You have to include the one liners or the jokes. You have to keep people's attentions for the whole story. So yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm really happy that I started as a one-liner comedian because I had to learn the joke structure and how to just make things funny, and then I built through that. I could not write a story the first year of comedy.
Yeah. And you know what, maybe that's okay because some people like go right into storytelling, and
Yeah.
and they don't realize like, oh, you have to, especially right at the beginning of your routine, you need a quick laugh to get everyone on your side. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Have you
Exactly.
experienced any significant challenges in doing stand-up comedy? Anything that's you either overcome or you're like, nope, this is still a challenge.
Um, well, I think from debate and like performance, there's still a tendency that I have to want to present the joke and be too proud of the joke on stage.
Mhm.
That's the danger about liking my writing too much, is that if I really feel like this joke is what is well written, then I'll say it and I'll really communicate, this is the punchline, boom.
Yeah.
And
And people are like, is it?
yeah. So then I pause longer. I'm like, I guess I didn't get a good response. So then I need to be more in the moment. When you focus on writing too much, you're just focused on saying everything word by word.
Mm.
And so I'm still focusing on being in the moment, letting the set come and go, ebb and flow in terms of what needs to be said at what time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that'll come with time because that really does the more stage time you have, the more comfortable you are up there, and then you can make it. I like to use the word organic. You can make it more organic because we're definitely not just doing comedy at the audience. We're kind of doing it with them. So,
Yeah, it is.
um,
Exactly. That conversation.
mhm. So, and even learning to make it seem like your jokes are conversational. Like, yeah, we're just out here saying it. I'm going to say this thing casually when you're like, I've said it the same thing for the past 5 days. But so,
Exactly.
so do you ever travel when you do comedy? Like I know you're the Texas guy, but do you ever get out and about?
Yeah, I did more last year. I traveled out of the state to Pennsylvania twice. It
Ooh,
was kind
that
of
is, that
random.
is far for y'all too. That's
I
that's
know.
like that's far for me, and I'm closer to Pennsylvania than you. What was in Pennsylvania? Why there's closer places you can travel to?
It was the first time I got accepted to a comedy festival, so I was like, I'm gonna
Oh,
go.
yeah. Which festival did you go to?
Good Karma. It was the one in
About
Bethlehem.
that one. Oh yeah, yeah. Very, very, very spiritually sound place. So tell us about your good. Tell us about your good karma. Just no. Tell us about your good karma comedy festival experience. Yeah.
Um, I I liked it a lot, and I feel like there's a moment when you're like, I'm doing this. This is so silly. So like flying to a random part of the country for me to do 8 minutes on a stage inside a former steel factory. It was wild, and I was like, this is the life. So, but I met some good friends, and they're still my friends. We're comedy buddies. We work on jokes
Yeah.
together, and
That's so cool.
yeah, I really loved it. I mean, it was a small festival, but it was exactly what I needed at that time.
Mm.
And at that point, that was my best set, and so I felt really good about going. And yeah, I liked
Yeah.
it.
It is interesting because when you tell your non-comedian friends, they're like, "What'd you do last weekend or whatever?" You're like, "I flew to Pennsylvania. I spent all this money to get here to do 8 minutes of comedy." They're like, "Is that? Are you okay? Do you need help?" But like to a comedian, we're like, we get it. Like I, especially when I first started, I would drive from Nashville to Charleston, South Carolina. That was one of the first big comedy festivals I did, or as a contest at Theater 99. So it was my first theater show, and I did like 5 minutes. But I drove for days to get there to work on my 5 minute set. And like I was so excited. And then like when I did it, I was like, this is it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think what it's taught just in general though, what that's taught me is like we should always remember we should just like life is meant to be enjoyed,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's okay if your family doesn't get why you drive so far for 5 minutes or whatever. If you're having a good time, like do it. So
Exactly. And it's I have my corporate job, but I still like to have the mentality of a struggling artist and do silly
right.
things.
It's good. It's yeah, and the corporate job gives you the financial cushion to go struggle as you do art. So that's
Yeah.
cool. Do you find it easy or bearable to like balance your corporate job and your comedy?
Yeah, I find it easy to balance because I mean, I guess that's one thing about being clean is I don't have to keep my comedy away from my work. And so
Yeah, that's
everybody
true.
knows I'm a comedian at work, and I have Arriba on my signature still.
It's fun. That's great.
So I try
So,
to, I mean, I feel very authentic about, my comedy persona as myself, so I try to live that
mhm.
out.
That's awesome. And so you are always clean. You always do clean shows. And do you ever get booked on not clean shows? And do you do clean on those shows? Or like do
Yes,
you go
I do. There's not too many clean shows except mine and maybe one more. Mi Familia, that's the restaurant. Cleto Rodriguez, he does that show.
very
And so that's it.
cool.
Only two clean shows that are frequent enough in San
Man,
Antonio.
so you are cornering the market on clean shows and afternoon shows. Like you're just
Yep, trying to be. But yeah, so of course, I get on a lot of shows that are just clean, blue. Um, I like to go first usually, or they put me
right
first.
before it gets too dirty. It's a little
Yeah,
bit it is tough to follow a dirty act with a clean act. Not impossible, but it is tough.
yeah, exactly. I want to be at a point where I only say yes to clean shows,
Mhm.
um, because that's part of the branding that I want to have, and so. But I still want to be open to it right now. But hopefully, at a point, I'll be like, okay, I feel comfortable that I can attract enough of an audience that I'll only say yes to clean shows.
I think that's another thing that will take time and just doing it because but you can build your audience, you can build your following,
Yeah.
and then just do the kinds of shows you want to do. It is it. I feel like for me this past year, and it was when I picked up the day job where I didn't feel like I had to do every comedy show that came my way for a paycheck. But it has been nice when opportunities have rolled up to me where I can be like, I'm good. I don't
Yeah.
need to do that one.
It
I find that's a very liberating thing. So you'll get
is.
there.
Cool. Thank you.
So
Yeah, I'm excited. But I mean, great shows. Everybody who produces shows, whether it's clean or blue in our city, they're really great. And yeah, it's always a good experience to try to test out my clean stuff.
yeah. So tell me about the San Antonio comedy scene and like talk to us a little bit about what that's like. You've been in it for 3 years, or yeah, 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I only know my scene, and knowing my scene, it feels great. We have at least two open mics every day. A lot of shows that are produced in different spots, a lot of bars. We have like four comedy clubs now that are still like three of them are the smaller ones, regional, but they're
Mhm.
still great people that show up, and yeah, a lot of good opportunities here. Even though we're close to Austin, it still feels like its very own distinct culture.
Okay, I was wondering that. I'm terrible at geography, so I didn't know how close
Yeah, like
y'all
about
were to.
an hour and a half away.
Okay, so have you ever taken your comedy to Austin to see how it does in their scene?
And only in little bar shows. I haven't done Sixth Street
Mhm.
or anything like that.
That's
Don't know if I
cool.
will, but maybe one day.
I It was so funny. I have been to Austin once. I did a few like open mics and showcases while I was there, but like the reason I was in Austin was to do a comedy show at like a seminary there, like an Austin Presbyterian seminary.
Oh yeah.
So I'm telling my friends here, yeah, yeah, I'm going to Austin to do comedy. And Austin kind of has the reputation of being like the gruffer you think Joe Rogan and Kill Tony like so when people hear like, oh, you're going to Austin to do comedy, I'm like, yeah, at a seminary, like it was a youth pastor's event, was what I was performing
Oh
at.
my goodness,
So,
that's
so
awesome.
yeah, so you know what though, I liked the city of Austin. The stereotypical scene for Austin is maybe a little bit different than what I'm used to. But when I was visiting Austin, I was like, oh, this is a cool place. So, but
Oh yeah, exactly. It's a nice. I like it too. But yeah, it's a good scene here, and then there's Texas. It's so big, so there's close.
mhm.
We can drive to Austin and then test your jokes out there. I've driven up to Dallas many times, and that's a fun scene as well.
Yeah, I've heard. I've well, Danny's from
Yeah.
Dallas, but I've talked to a few other comedians from Dallas. I actually think I'm in the very early phases of maybe in December planning a trip to come some places in Texas. I gotta
Yeah.
know the geography better to know like where I'm spending the days at. But like I mean you're right. It's everyone who talks about all the different places people can do comedy. So I think I'll have several days off close to Christmas, and I'll be able to just go and do some shows and I haven't ever really spent a lot of time in Texas. So
That'd be
um
great.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's cool. So
you can knock out a few cities. Yeah, close by.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, maybe I can figure out. We can figure out if it falls on like one of your refuge coffee days, or we can go to some afternoon coffee shops and
There we go. There we go. Get our 2 p.m. show on the ground.
yes,
Off the ground.
got to get that. I it's got to start somewhere. So
Yeah.
I've thought before about on Saturdays if like I've never thought I've wanted to start one, but I've kind of wished someone would start one like a Saturday open mic that's like in the afternoon. Like I think that would be
Okay.
I feel like that would be a good pull because you get people before they do their evening shows. You know, a lot of book shows are on weekends. So
We have that
um
actually in San Antonio.
yeah.
Once a month, actually. My friend Thomasine, she runs a clean comedy open mic at a mall, like one of those malls that's kind of open, kind of closed.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
So
cool. How is it?
it's been good. Yeah, there's a good mix of comedians who want to practice their clean stuff, and there's a good audience there too.
I love that. And clean open mics are awesome. And I always like to see people like I mean it's good if you know you're already working clean and you're working on stuff, but what is really fun is when you see comics who don't normally work clean but are trying to learn how to and stretching themselves. And so they'll go and work on clean stuff at that. And I think that's wonderful. I've run a few clean open mics before where like I tell people like you don't have to yeah, even if you stink at being clean, this is where you get better. Like this is like come and
Exactly.
try.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like my refuge show in terms of the rules for being clean, because I follow the Clean Comedy Collective rules, and
mhm.
then I also make sure that I say no innuendos, has to be family friendly and clean, and then I give an example of what is clean but not family friendly.
I love that. It helps when you're running a clean show right from the beginning and maybe several times. Just let people know when I say clean, this is what I mean. Because the truth is that someone else's show might have completely different rules, and so um, it helps the comedians not wonder. So
Yeah, that's what they tell me. They're like, I know exactly what's expected. They say they had a gig at a church event and they still had to clean it up for my show. I'm like, yes.
oh, really? That's so
Yeah.
cool. That yeah, your show is cleaner than church. Okay,
At
that's
least there's
good.
more like specifics. So
Yeah. Well, but and especially having done it for a year, like you know your audience, you know what they'll be into, what they won't. And so you're really some people are like, oh, there's so many rules to the show. It's like, well, I like the host or whoever's producing it, they know they want you to win. They want you to be entertaining to their crowd, but they also know like what wouldn't work for the crowd. So it's never in a comedian's best interest to go against what the host says or like what the booker when they says, hey, follow these rules. And sometimes comedians are like, oh, but it's more artistic if I want to do it this way or whatever. It's like, okay, you be artistic later. Do it like on a different show.
yeah, and that's where it's hard to
Because
be a producer too, to like making
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So with clean shows, especially, you oftentimes you have to be wise with who you book because you always got to think about your audience first. So
For sure.
actually last month or maybe the month before, I started making a not clean show, and it's actually been really one of the things I like about it is all the people that I've often thought like I'd love to book you, but you're just not clean enough for the show. Now I can like now I have a show that I can ask them to be part of, which
Nice.
has been fun. So yeah. So
Oh,
um,
that's great. How's that show doing?
it's pretty good. It's like a completely different vibe. It's at an Irish pub, like upstairs. Where actually our next one is this Friday, which is gonna be if anyone's listening to this live, it is a day before when we're currently listening. So, but I do different themes every month. Last month, so we have a lot of comedians that moved from Memphis, Tennessee, that are here in Nashville now, and
Oh,
I've done both scenes, and so I did a Memphis in May show where like named after the barbecue festival, um, and so we did Memphis. It was all Memphis comics that are now living in Nashville, and then this week we're doing a Father's Day themed show, just because the month so it's all dads just
oh,
performing. So yeah, and next month there isn't really much of a theme, but I have a few people that are on tour that are gonna come, and they added our show to their tour.
oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's been fun. It's because and I also feel like I've said this several times in the podcast. Me and myself, I'm not I when I listen to comedy, and honestly, even when I perform, I'm not exclusively clean. However, I know to be exclusively clean on clean shows. To me, it's always been more important to be non-offensive and not to devalue people with my humor. And there's just, I never want people to feel less than when they're at the show. So even in my not clean show, I will tell people like, hey, just a couple ground rules. Don't be a jerk and don't do comedy in a way that makes women hate being here. Like that,
Yes.
it's a little still a little bit subjective, but in my opinion, uh, this isn't proven, but in my opinion, um, if the women appreciate the comedy show, everyone else will appreciate the comedy show. If the women feel targeted or hurt or whatever, it's a weird comedy show. So,
Hmm. I agree.
but yeah, I was gonna say that's not necessarily science. It's not a law, but it seems to be what I see. So
Yeah, observational proof, yes.
yes, so
Hmm.
um, I'm let's enter into the time of ask a comedian. So I've got with me several questions that have been shared with us from our viewers or listeners or random people that are connected with me on social media. So if anyone's ever following at Drew Davis Comedy, frequently, whether it's Threads, Facebook, Instagram, I'll just let people know like, hey, what question should I ask comedians? I literally talk to them every week, which fun. It can be comedy related or it can be not comedy related, but we call this segment Ask a Comedian because I'm here with a comedian and now we're going to ask him some questions. So what I need from you, Arriba Dude, is give me three numbers between 1 and 30. My bad. I'm doing one of those screen shift things, like where it splits it where I can see. But okay, 1 in 34. Those are the numbers I need.
Okay, I thought about this. I played it
Okay.
like the lotto. Number 8, it's my favorite number.
Okay.
Number 16, that's the day in February that I started comedy.
Ooh, okay. February 16th.
And yeah, the 29, because that's the day I got married. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thanks.
All right. So we got 8, 16, and 29. So number 8, we have um what's a joke or bit that stands out to you? That what's a joke or bit that has inspired you in some kind of way?
Oh, yes. That's a good. There's so many great bits. Um, the state abbreviations bit from what? Come on, you know who it is. Gary Goldman. Yes, that's
Yes.
right. Yes. Oh, that was so great because it was like you could tell. You can't. I can't imagine how long it took him. How many years to like perfect that bit. And like, I'm always curious as to what the original joke was when he started that. And how he just goes through all of the different, like a whole story about how the states got the abbreviations and the committee and just the little nooks and crannies of that joke. That's one of the jokes that I really enjoy. And I was like, this is smart writing. He's such a good writer.
Yeah. That is really good. I love a good joke where you're like, wow, that was beautifully written. Like
Yeah.
sometimes and I feel like I love that more as a comedian now that I've been doing it where I can really appreciate the jokes. And I should have said this when I shared the question, but that one came to us from Instagram from Kristen Barzak, who's a comedian here in the Nashville area.
Cool.
Um,
Thank you.
okay. Yeah, number 16. This one comes from Tiffany D on YouTube. And it says, w- um, what advice do you have regarding bombing venues outside of your home state? It's especially if sorry, it's like a long question. So
All right.
give me a second. It got off my screen. Um, Okay, so basically the question is, what advice do you have when it involves bombing at venues? She says, especially outside of your home states, especially since sometimes bookers want comedians with like large social media following, and you might not have one. So, I think you can probably edit your answer to that because the same advice for bombing outside of your state can be true about bombing right there in your city. And sometimes it is hard because people that book us, what they're really looking for is people with big followings that brings tons of people. But like anyone who starts out in comedy doesn't have that. So, um, what do you
Yeah.
think, Daniel?
I think I've heard this advice before because, I'm so new in this comedy world. I'm not trying to be a headliner, and I will never ask to be a headliner right now. So if they book me, it's because they think I can be a good part of their show, be funny enough to continue the energy in the show. Um,
Yeah.
so that relieves the pressure for me to be like, I don't have to have the biggest following. I just have to be a good part of their show enough that they want to add me to it. And so if I bomb, you know, I feel like to be a great comedian myself, I can't worry about what the audience thinks
Hmm.
during the show. Like you mentioned, having that conversation. Hey, sometimes you say something and your friend doesn't respond. They just listen.
Yeah, that's
And so I'm
true.
like, yeah, I mean, these are the best jokes at that time that I'm performing them. Because I'm not gonna do a show and get paid to do jokes that I haven't worked on and
I
for
love
try
that.
to perfect.
I feel the same way. If it's a
Yeah,
paid show, then I don't feel comfortable being like, well, here's something brand new, you know.
exactly. Not right now, at least for me. So I'm like, I do my best. I provide the best jokes, and I hope that they enjoyed it, even if they're not laughing out loud. If I feel like I'm bombing, I'll just say I don't think I'm bombing, and I just continue with the conversation, and hopefully
Yeah.
acknowledge it enough, right, to relieve the stress.
Yeah, sometimes acknowledging it can make it funny and real and you're make it easier for everyone. And I think in all things we should often show ourselves grace and be like, well,
Yeah.
I did my best, or that happened, or maybe it's that wasn't my audience, or they were in a weird mood, or sometimes it's even I was in a weird mood, like sometimes um but yeah, so I think it's important sometimes to show yourself grace. Bombing's gonna happen. I think that's something we talked about in a last episode or the episode before, but like it's I don't know of any comedian that's good that says I've never bombed or I don't bomb anymore. I think I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you have newer comedians like, oh, I've never bombed in my life and I probably never will. And it's like, give it time. You know,
Yes,
like they either haven't done it long enough or they're not self-aware enough. That's just the truth of it. So,
for
because
sure.
because all the famous successful comedians will be like, no, bombing's part of it. So, um,
Yep.
and you just got to get up and do it again. I love it when I have the opportunity if I bomb at a show or a mic and I have an opportunity like if I know I'm going somewhere then that like literally after that show to do comedy again because it's like you get back on that horse and it's so great when like if maybe you didn't have a great set at the first show but then the second one you have a really good show and I'm always so grateful for that show because if I ended that night after the first set I would have been a little let down. But that second set, it's like, oh no, that was cool. That was a good way. That was a completely different experience. So
Exactly. And I record all my sets, and so sometimes when I feel like I bombed really bad, I force myself to hear my set as soon as I get in the car on the way home.
mhm.
That's hard. But
Yep,
that way I can be like, I guess it wasn't that bad, or like I feel like at least I would know immediately and not let it
yeah.
linger into the
You,
unknown.
you can already, and sometimes when you listen to it, even especially the rough sets, you can kind of catch what was rough about it, and it's a learning experience. But and you kind of alluded to this already. Sometimes you hear it and you're like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and that's kind of nice
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
um, all right, the last question I have for you comes from comedian Sean T. Hughes, who is also in the Clean Comedy Collective. He's a good friend of mine, and he helped me start the Clean Comedy Collective. And if anyone's like, "Wow, he sounds like the best guy ever," he was in our very first episode. So if you scroll back a lot of episodes, you can hear him. This is an interesting question. If you could go back in time and talk to yourself before you did your first open mic, what would you tell yourself?
Wow. That is
Be
it.
hilarious if you had like a non-comedy related answer. I tell myself to go turn off the oven or something like
Exactly. To drop that purge joke, it's old.
that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would tell myself to slow down and enjoy the pauses in between your jokes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's where the laughter can really build for an audience. And when I was so new in this, it was so easy to want to be like, oh, I didn't get the laughter that I expected. Let me move on quickly to the next joke. Um, but now that I feel more comfortable in my jokes, I love slowing down and I love having more pauses in between
Absolutely.
points. And yeah.
That's good, and that's been hard for me too. Is like I feel like there always needs to be laughter. And even in life, I don't do well with silences or awkward silences or whatever. I feel like there's always got to be some kind of motion, but there is something in comedy where you can build up your joke with the quietness of it. And
Yeah.
I've learned if I ever have a joke that has a slight laugh, or maybe didn't have the laugh I was hoping for, how you play into that silence can actually get you a laugh.
Mm.
You can turn what could be an awkward experience to like a really fun one. I don't feel like I'm very good at that yet, but I've been noticing like that's a thing you can do. So
That's awesome. It's kind of like relieving the tension for the audience. And that was
yeah.
always tricky for me as a clean comedian to be like, how do I create enough tension that I have to help them release and laugh through it? So that's one way, but yeah, I'm working on that as well.
Yeah, that's like advanced comedy tactics right there. So,
Yeah.
and that's the fun part. And I feel like this is something probably we both agree on because you're talking about enjoying writing jokes and stuff like that. But like the skill of doing comedy, that's the fun thing. Like it's just like any other skill. When you start it, you're not going to have all of the ins and outs. But like the more you
Yeah.
do it, the more you learn. You learn by watching people. You learn by like studying it, and even just you learn through experience. Like, oh, that's something I can do. So that's cool.
Exactly. The best thing is like when I can watch a video of myself doing a set 6 months ago and be like, okay, I wouldn't do it that way again. I'm like, oh,
Absolutely. I love that too. And then that makes it so I can never I at some point I'm like I can't watch that video anymore. That like
that's not going to be a video I ever submit again. Yeah.
yeah. I wish I could tell myself, and it's not even just before my first open mic. I feel like it's my first so many years of comedy. I don't even know how long, but like I would tell the new comedian version of myself just chill out, just calm down, try to enjoy it more because it's always been so important to me like to be the best in the lineup or to like to get a laugh at every single joke or just like what is this going to lead to? Like what new opportunities going to come from the show? I feel like I've always put more pressure on myself in stand up than like anyone else actually
Yeah.
has. Like if I had a bad set, I'm like, well, I guess I'll never work in this town ever again or whatever. Like, it's like, and like I don't think anyone else was thinking that. I think I was just putting that on me. So I feel like I would just tell myself, dude, just chill out. Like calm down. Have
Exactly.
fun. But
Yep.
well, cool, Daniel. So first of all, thank you so much for being on this podcast and chatting comedy with me. And spending our what are we Wednesday night together here.
Exactly. Highlight.
Yeah, this has been fun. Where can we find you? What can you plug for us? What do you want all the tens of the listeners of the Clean Comedy Chats? What would you like them to
Yeah.
know
You'll,
about you?
you'll have 11 this weekend with my wife watching this.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mrs. Arriba Dude.
Yes. She's a lady Arriba as well. Yep.
Oh, Lady Arriba. That sounds way more elegant, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. But I have a website for 10 years, arribadude.com. And that has all my social links at arriba_dude on Instagram. And yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And go check it out. And for anyone listening, or watching on YouTube, the links will be in our notes. You can go straight to whatever you're hearing us from and click on his to check out his website. And listen, give him go do the extra work for these comedians where like you go to their websites when they tell it on this podcast, and then you go to their social media and then you add a follow to them. That makes such a difference for comedians. And so if you guys don't mind, it's like 3 clicks for you, but every plus one counts. We are
Yeah.
living in a world where oftentimes people, the first question they ask about a comedian is not, is he funny? The first question is like, how many followers does he have? So whenever you listen to these episodes, if you like the comedian, give them a follow on social media because it makes a big difference. So and our same thing here for us, cleancomedycollective.com. That's where you can learn everything you could possibly want to know about the Clean Comedy Collective. And we have new episodes each week. We also have a Patreon where you can become a member and then you can hear the Snyder cuts of each episode, the longer
Yeah.
versions. where because we try to keep it under an hour for Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff and on YouTube. But if you're like, man, I want to hear more from these comedians, a lot of times they have extended interviews and it's all on our Patreon. So those are things to check out. And thank you, Daniel, again for being our guest this week. And
Yeah.
we're looking forward to chatting with someone else next week. So I hope you all tune in and listen to us then and have a great one. All right. Bye.
You're welcome.